So when I go around teaching karate, there's 5 major rules that I give the students. These rules will help you with the foundation of your karate. So if you want to get more powerful, and you want to get more explosive, faster, apply these rules to what you're doing. Work on the basics first, and progress from there. But these 5 rules are the foundation of your development in karate. So rule number 1, 98% of the time, your hips must rotate in one way or another. So if you're punching, you need to rotate your hip. So that's 98% of the time. If you're blocking, you need to rotate your hip. The 2% that it doesn't rotate is when you're doing a double hand motion. Here, 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 here. Those kind of movements uses a hip this way. So it's a pelvis tilt. So if you're doing like in Pinan Sandan, it would be rotate this way. This is Seisan. Some kata here, boom, boom. So always boom. This motion. So when you're rotating your hip, you need to know whether you're going to be in a wide stand or a narrow stand, depending on your technique and the application. I usually don't teach width in stands until green belt and up. Outside of that, it's pretty well standard. So the most basic one is your hip width is even with the inside of your feet, or your shoulders are even with the outside. For you, your width. And that's the best balance that you can get to be stable. Now, if I am going to do anything where I'm doing like a baseball swing, so if the ball's coming, I got a baseball bat, and I want to swing out and hit outside the park, like a baseball swing, I need to bring the hip around and be wide. So I call that a baseball swing stance. Now when you do that, your body turns this direction. If you're going to do something that I call a push, then it's a narrow stand, like a lunge punch. At this point, you try to understand why you want a wide stand or a narrow stand. So if your back hip is going towards your belly button, like for a reverse punch, you have a wide stand. If your back hip is going away from your belly button, then it's a narrow stand, like the Oizuki. So back hip goes towards my belly button, wide stand. Back hip away from my belly button, narrow stand. Back hip towards my belly button, wide stand. Back hip away from my belly button, narrow stand. Back hip going towards my belly button. Back hip going away from the belly button. So I do other martial arts, and people in those arts tell me, why do you karate people always bring your feet in and back out? And it really doesn't make sense to do that, unless you load up the back hip. So if I'm going to throw a reverse punch, I need to load up the back hip. So my feet come together, set, and then drive the hip here. Everything follows that fist. Elbow, shoulder, hip, knee. Boom. So now, if I don't cross the center line, I can't load up the hip. So if you want a maximum power punch, you need to load it up. So I cross the center line, bring it back, and drive everything together. Cross the center line, set, and bring it back together. Try not to come straight and then set. And try not to set and then turn and then punch. You need to drive all together. So it crosses, whether you throw a reverse punch, Uriuki, Kaburai, Aiyuki. So when you don't cross your center line is when you have a push type of technique. So if I'm going to go to say Oizuki, if I cross my center line, I've given this hip away already. There's nothing behind this now. It's just hand motion. And you can test yourself on a heavy bag. Work a heavy bag, throw the 10 hardest punch that you want. Make them all, the first one as the last one, the same power. And you will see that your body will start to want to turn, because if you're too square here, this pops out. So having said that, do not cross your center line, go straight in and drive. Straight in to where you want and drive. Now for beginners or color belts, some of the color belts, here, again, you're going with Juji Dutch, the X-stand, and rotate. That really helps them to keep that shoulder back and rotate. For black belts, I would keep here and keep your foot straight. Because you're going straight there, and pull. So it also makes sense not crossing the center line when you're attacking straight on. In Yai, you're here, I have to cut straight in and take over center. So I need to come here and keep my sword on center. If I was to bring my feet together, I'm off center. And then my cut is going in here, but as you can see, as it's cut into the person, it's sliding sideways like this. Not at an angle, like this, so you're actually pushing, so the minute it hits, it's going to jam. So this sword needs to stay on center. And that's the same thing with your technique when you're throwing a punch. So from this angle, crossing the center line, you'd be here, cross, bring it back, punch. Cross, bring it back, block. Cross, bring it back, block. In the push section, step, push. Step, push. You have the same thing with Ai, Uki, here, here, drive. So what I've done is a forward stand. Now for Kukutsudachi, the back stand, same principle. So if I'm going to do a baseball swing type of motion, I need to be wider. So if I'm doing the Shintani traditional shuto here, I need to be wider here. Cross the center line, set, and bring everything together here. Same applies from Rote-uki. So if I'm here, bring across, set, throw. Bring across, set, throw. If I'm doing a push action, the push action would be straight in this way. I don't want to cross my center line because then I give this hip away. I hold that hip back and drive. Hold that hip back and drive. The same applies for Nikawashi Dachi, cat stand. So cat stand, if I'm going like a baseball, I'm going into it, my back hip is going towards my navel, I want to square up. I cross, set, load up the hip. If I'm doing a push type, then it's narrow. I don't need to cross the center line. So the same applies for Juji Dachi, which is the X stand. If I'm going to wide stand, it'd be this way. Here. So my width is here, here. If I'm going narrow stand, here. So my back hip is going away from my navel. Going this way. So going wide, my back hip going towards the navel, it's a wide stand. So rule number one, 98% of the time, your hips must rotate in one way or another. So if you're punching, you need to rotate your hip. So that's 98% of the time. If you're blocking, you need to rotate your hip.